My wife went abroad on a 3-year business trip, and I went to the airport to pick her up when she returned. To my surprise, besides her, there was also a 6-month-old baby. My colleagues joked, "Even though the child isn't yours, your wife still is." Then, my wife handed me a divorce agreement. But this time, I was the one who didn't want her. Lee Min-yoon is my wife, beautiful and alluring. Not long after joining the company, she quickly rose through the ranks and went abroad on a business trip 3 years ago. She said, 3 years for $1 million. When I come back, our lives will be better. Today was the day of her return, and I took the day off specifically to pick her up. When I arrived at the airport, I saw her figure from afar. After 3 years, my wife's figure was slightly fuller, but that was just right. I waved at her, and then I saw her followed by a woman in her 50s, holding a baby. As I got closer, my wife took the child in her arms. I was stunned, but then I thought she must be helping. How kind and beautiful. "Honey," I couldn't help but shout. My wife gradually walked out, and when she saw me, she handed the child directly to the woman next to her. "You guys go to the car and wait for me." The child cried at my wife, and the woman coaxed him, don't cry, Mommy will be here soon." Hearing this, I was stunned. "Mommy?" I looked at Lee Min-yoon. What did she say? "Mommy." Lee Min-yoon said in a deep voice, "Liang Shua, we need to talk." She walked to the side, and I couldn't wait to follow. Up close, I noticed a milky scent on her, and her posture also resembled that of a mother. "Lee Min-yoon, what's the deal with that child? Don't tell me you went out for 3 years and had a baby." Lee Min-yoon's face was cold. "You saw it. I don't want to hide it from you. I gave birth to the child, but I will give you an explanation. You go back first. After I finish my work, I'll contact you. That's it for now." Without waiting for a reply, she turned and left. I was dumbfounded, and it took me a while to react. I quickly chased after her, only to see her being embraced by President Choi, and they got into the Mercedes-Benz at the door together. President Choi. My heart sank. 3 years ago, Choi Hao also went abroad on a business trip. When he left, I sent a lot of valuable gifts, asking him to help take care of Lee Min-yoon. Turns out, he took care of her in bed. I couldn't help but clench my fists and drove to the company. Since she brought the child, Lee Min-yoon must go home first. As for which home, I don't care. It's not mine anyway. With red eyes, I rushed back to the company and heard several people discussing in the pantry. Lee Min-yoon will be promoted as soon as she comes back. I have to say, it's fast for a beautiful woman to get promoted. It's all about the mother benefiting from the son. She gave birth to a son, and President Choi can't give her the status of a legitimate wife. So he has to give her an explanation. Liang Shua is so open-minded, living off his wife without any guilt, treating his wife as a surrogate. Hearing their words, I felt like I had fallen into an ice cave. They all knew that Lee Min-yoon went abroad and followed Choi Hao, and they kept it from me. I'm a fool, kept in the dark, and I even joked with them about missing my wife. I once told Lee Min-yoon that I would go abroad to see her, but she excused herself, saying it was inconvenient. It took more than a week to travel back and forth, which was a waste of time and money. She earnestly said, "Liang Shua, I'm doing this for our family. Can't you just bear with it?" Bear with it? I did endure not going to see her for 3 years, but this is the result I got. Thinking of this, I coughed lightly. The several people inside turned around and saw me, and their faces suddenly became awkward. "Liang Shua, you're here for coffee too?" "Yeah, and to listen to your gossip," I replied sarcastically. Hearing this, one of them boldly said, "Liang Shua, actually this is not a big deal. Others don't even have the chance. Unlike you, you haven't earned less of your own salary for 3 years, and your wife is making big money abroad. When she comes back, she might be a director. How does it feel? Do you have any experience to share?" He looked at me with malice, and I knew he'd long been disgruntled with being in my group, spending his days slacking off. Yet, he was a master of flattery. Group 2 had asked me for him, and I'd originally planned to transfer him over by the end of the month. But now, thinking about it, I couldn't afford to keep him. Better he left sooner. But before he went, I needed to teach him a lesson. I smiled at the man. "You're a grown man, yet you gossip like an old woman. You certainly have the potential to be a busybody. Say, I actually know a shortcut. Do you want to hear it?" I beckoned him closer with my finger. He leaned in, and I, suppressing my rage, whispered in his ear, "You could just pull down your pants and sell yourself." "What did you say?" I spread my hands. Weren't you asking me to share my experience? Why can't you handle a bit of truth? Liang Shuo, I'm giving you face here. You're perfectly content living off a woman. But the child isn't yours, though the wife is. After Director Chui goes to headquarters, just have your wife have another one. You won't be at a loss. The surrounding crowd burst into laughter. I couldn't hold back any longer. I lunged at him, throwing a punch and pinning him to the ground. This scrawny little chick was no match for my fists. He begged and howled, and at first, the surrounding colleagues just watched and laughed. But when they saw I wasn't letting up, that I was really beating him to a pulp, they rushed in and pulled us apart. I shook my fist. I don't know who's living off whom, you weakling. Liang Shuo, I'm going to call the police. Go ahead. Just then, Chui Hao arrived. What's all this commotion? What's this about calling the police? Director Chui, Liang Shuo hit me. Look at what he did. Chui Hao stared at me. Liang Shuo, what's going on? This is a company, not a marketplace. Assaulting a colleague, your performance bonus for this month is forfeit. Hearing this, Chun Ming sneered. Liang Shuo, I won't make a fuss. Just compensate me with 50,000 yuan, and we'll call it even. Fine, let's call the police then. You have a foul mouth, and I recorded everything you said just now. If I expose this, none of US will get off easy. Chun Ming was about to explode, but Chui Hao stopped him. All right, everyone disperse. Adults need to be responsible for their actions. Chun Ming, come with me. Chun Ming followed him, fuming. I glanced around coldly and said in a deep voice, if anyone else talks behind my back, this is what you'll get. Liang Shuo, aren't you afraid of being fired? Yeah, so arrogant. I shrugged. What's there to be afraid of? Worst case, I find another job. I'm not scared. Are you guys? Can you guarantee you'll find another job in this economy? Immediately, they fell silent. I wouldn't dare to say anything else, but my skills were definitely up to par. Honestly, if it weren't for Li Mingyun insisting on coming here, I would never have joined this company. 4 or 5 years, my performance at the company has been obvious to everyone. Li Mingyun knows very well how she climbed up to the position of branch manager. It's just that after so long, she actually started to believe it was all her own doing. No rush. I want to know what they're really thinking. It was half an hour later when Chun Ming emerged. The HR manager was with him, watching him pack up his things and leave. This surprised me. Everyone take note. From now on, anyone who engages in unwarranted insults and provocation in the company will be immediately dismissed. Chun Ming is an example. As soon as the words were spoken, everyone looked at me. My heart sank. They did it on purpose. As Chun Ming passed me, he snorted, Liang Shuo, you're a disgrace, selling your wife for your own gain. I despise you. With a sneer, I didn't say a word, just watched him leave. Then, I turned my gaze towards Chui Hao's office. This guy was clearly setting me up for a fall. I was about to storm into his office, but the HR manager stopped me. Hold on, mister. Chui isn't a video conference. You can't go in. I looked at him. Just now, I punched Chun Ming and walked away unscathed. You think if I beat you up too, Chui Hao would discipline you or fire me? The HR manager froze, unsure of what to do. I was about to push past him when Chui Hao emerged from his office. He looked displeased to see me standing there. What is it? Mister, Chui, have you forgotten so quickly? Didn't you say you'd give me an explanation? Or do you intend to discuss it here? Chui Hao thought for a moment, then said, let's talk outside. Follow me. He gestured for me to follow, and I saw the deep furrow in his brow as I trailed behind. Once we were in the underground parking garage and inside his car, Chui Hao handed me an envelope. I felt it. It was about 10,000 yuan. What's this for? Liang Shuo, take the money, and you can continue to work here without any trouble. Just let this go. Continue to work here? You fucking slept with my wife, and you want me to just keep working here? I grabbed his collar. Tell me, when did this all start? Chui Hao's face was livid. I don't need to go into the details. Besides this, there's also a bank card, a total of 3 million yuan. 1 million a year, you're not losing out. You have 3 days, Liang Shuo. This is the only offer I'm giving you. Each day you delay, it's reduced by 1 million. I was about to say more in my rage, but he pressed me down. Think carefully before you speak to me. After all, I'm the one in charge of the company now. If you don't agree, that's fine too. When this gets out, it won't be hard for me to crush you. He was threatening me. I scoffed and slapped him across the face. I dragged him out of the car and started hitting him. Choi Hao was 7 or 8 years older than me and half a head taller, but he was all bark and no bite. He was no match for me. Soon, I had him pinned against the hood of the car. He roared in anger. Liang Shuai, you dare hit me? I'll fucking kill you. I kneed him, and his face instantly turned white from the pain. I grabbed his throat and bellowed. Choi Hao, you fucking dared to touch my wife. The next second, I was thrown off by a powerful force. The security guards had arrived and were holding me down. Choi Hao, having regained his footing, was furious. Call the police. Call the police. Don't call the police. It was Lee Min-yun. She was walking over from the emergency exit. I realized then that she had been there all along. Let him go. Let me talk to him. Choi Hao waved his hand and got into his car. The security guards released me, but stood nearby, ready to intervene. My eyes were bloodshot as I looked at her. You told me you were forced. Just say the word, and I'll make things right for you. Lee Min-yun was impatient. Don't be stupid. Liang Shuo, let's just have a clean break. I looked at her, a surge of nameless anger rising within me. Lee Min-yun, we've only been married for 4 years. You've been cheating on me for 3. How could you do this to me? Lee Min-yun was remarkably calm. Am I supposed to call you stupid or naive? When did the company's overseas business ever fall to a newcomer? The company had a policy that only men were recruited for overseas business. I was indeed surprised when Lee Min-yun was selected, but Lee Min-yun said she was outstanding enough, that even company is willing to make an exception for her because of how good she is. Now, she was using that to mock my naivete. She glanced at her phone, which displayed a photo of their family of 3. How ironic. Liang Shuo, you can't give me what I want. Let's get a divorce. I want to move on and be free from now on, she said. I stared at her, a pain tightening in my chest. Throughout our marriage, I'd worried about her constantly. Almost every month, I sent her things, fearing she wouldn't have enough money to live comfortably abroad. As soon as I got paid, I'd wire her funds. I cherished her, worried about her, and missed her terribly. Her presence lingered in every corner of our home. And now, she was asking for a divorce, completely disregarding our shared past. After a moment, I sought confirmation. Are you really sure about this? You want a divorce? Yes. Actually, we've already registered our marriage abroad. We're just here to complete the formalities. Don't make a scene. It's not like you're losing anything. Her words were laced with undisguised mockery and disgust. It hit me, then, I was nothing more than stepping stone. Since she had shown no regard, I saw no reason to dwell on old sentiments. I nodded, a smile playing on my lips. Fine, just don't regret it. I won't. Good. Then I hope you two are locked together forever, never to part. With that, I grabbed my bank card and headed straight back upstairs. Back at the office, I immediately submitted my resignation. The HR manager was taken aback, clearly not expecting such a swift change of heart after my brief trip downstairs. The office buzzed with whispers, but I ignored them. My team members were concerned, and one of them, Lee, pulled me aside. Boss, are you really quitting? Don't listen to their gossip. What are we going to do without you? Lee had been with me the longest, joining me straight out of university. He'd grown to be independent and capable. Seeing his concern, I patted his shoulder. All good things must come to an end. Once I'm back on my feet, I'll bring you guys along. His eyes lit up at my words. Really? I knew you wouldn't just give up. They were saying such awful things. I believe in you. Stay in touch. I gave his shoulder another pat. These young people in my team trusted me. They'd been with me for years and knew my capabilities. Only someone like Shui Hao would be foolish enough to blindly believe that Lee Min-yun had the skills to bring him profit. I scoffed inwardly. I had used every connection my family had to help Lee Min-yun gain a foothold in this company. Her qualifications were lacking, and her abilities were weak. Without me, she wouldn't have even made it past probation. But things were different now. Since we were divorcing, there was no need for me to use my connections to benefit her. I finished the handover procedures and left immediately. Choi Hao let out a cold snort when he saw me. I gave him the middle finger. Enjoy picking up the scraps. Their faces instantly turned green. Lee Min-yun, make sure you clear out all your things. I don't need that stuff in my house. No need. Just throw it all away. Good, it's all garbage anyway. Ignoring her expression, I stepped into the elevator. As the doors closed, I couldn't hold back the tears welling up in my eyes. I was furious. I would have my revenge for this humiliation. After completing the formalities, I posted an announcement on my social media, letting all my friends know that I was divorced. Immediately, people started inviting me out for drinks, and I gladly accepted. They were shocked to hear that Lee Min-yoon had a child with someone else. Liang Shua, is this real life? It's like something out of soap opera. Are you just going to take this lying down? Aren't you going to sue her? Damn, we'll help you get even. Just tell us, where do those two scumbags live? I quickly pulled them back. It's not worth it, it's all trash. Don't let it stink you up. If you really want to help me, find me some clients later. I'm planning to start my own company and fight him to the end. I forgot to mention, my family is pretty well off. I just didn't want to manage the factory for my dad. So I came out to work, and now look at me. Knowing that I was finally going to do my own thing, they were thrilled. You should have done this a long time ago. Don't worry, leave it to us. They patted their chests in assurance, and I was relieved. I went back and asked my dad for startup funds and immediately registered the company. Hearing that I had started a company to go solo, Lee Min-yoon couldn't help but call me. She used a different number, so I didn't see it coming. After I answered, I heard her say, Liang Shua, why bother? It's impossible between us. Why are you still hung up on me? Trying to get my attention now is really pointless. I couldn't help but sneer. You really think too much of yourself. This market is so big, your company can have a piece, and so can I. If Chui Hao can't even handle a small fry like me, then you really misjudged him. Just wait. You'll have plenty of time to regret it later. Lee Min-yoon was still defiant, but I didn't care what she thought. I hung up the phone and went on the offensive. My school may not be well known, but this major is one of the best in the industry. Most of the big names in this field are my senior brothers and alumni, so as soon as I showed up, many of them started to help me. In the first month, the company was established. I went around pulling people in and catching up, taking my time, having dinner today and drinks tomorrow. In the second month, I started taking on some small orders. The company had income and a few more people, but it hadn't shown its scale yet. And just at that time, I ran into Lee Min-yoon and Chui Hao. I had just closed a big deal that day and went out for a meal. When I saw Lee Min-yoon, I was about to leave, but Chui Hao called out to me. Yo, isn't this Liang Shua? I heard you started a company recently. That's great. It's not bad. Chui Hao said dismissively. The overall environment isn't good now, and entrepreneurship is risky. You should save some money. Don't go bankrupt and lose all your family's assets. You don't have to worry about that. I glanced at him. But speaking of which, it's been 3 months, and I still haven't received your wedding invitation. Hurry up. Don't let people say you're living in sin. It's already bad enough that you stole your subordinate's wife, but now you're not even giving her a title. I looked at Lee Min-yoon again. Tell me, what are you after? Lee Min-yoon said angrily. What's it to you? You should take a look at yourself first. Your senior brothers have all called me, saying that you've been begging them lately. Without a big company backing you, you can't use those connections. I didn't care. These were all things I deliberately asked my senior brothers to leak out, just to mislead them. Better to keep her from bothering me. I smiled and said nothing. Chui Hao looked at me with disdain in his eyes. These 3 months, besides talking business, I've also been looking for people to investigate them. Chui Hao is considered a successful person, so why would he choose someone like Lee Min-yoon to have children with? She's not even the prettiest in the company, and she's been married before. What's the point? I didn't realize something was wrong until after the divorce, so I secretly investigated. And what do you know, I really found some clues. But I didn't tell her. Seeing Lee Min-yoon like this today, I really look forward to the day when the truth comes out. I waved my hand. All right, you guys carry on. I'll be heading out. Chui Hao, still with that sarcastic tone. Liang Shua, drop by any time. The company's short on security guards. Give yourself a way out. I turned and left, hearing a few snickers behind me, but I didn't pay them any mind. If Chui Hao doesn't marry her in 3 months, and if he still doesn't in another 3 months, I'll start snatching his deals. At first, Chui Hao didn't realize what was happening, but when my former team members started resigning one after another to join me, he panicked. Half a year later, I had my first confrontation with Chui Hao, competing for the SC Company project. At the airport, Chui Hao and his team arrived ahead of me, taking the advantageous position and blocking my team. Liang Shua, you're late. One wrong step leads to another. I suggest you just head back and rest. Xiaoli was furious and about to step forward, but I held them back. Are you rushing to your deaths? Let them wait and go. We're going outside. I took Xiaoli to buy coffee at the airport, and we sat down for breakfast. Only then did I leisurely pack up a portion to take with us in the car. Xiaoli was frantic. Bro, aren't you going to pick up the client? This President Sheen is the head of this project. If we don't get him, the deal's off. It won't be off. Trust me, he'll be here soon. Hearing me say this, Xiaoli was a bit incredulous, but still obediently waited with me. Before long, we saw a middle-aged man dressed in a trendy brand shirt and large shorts, clearly on vacation. He was dragging a large suitcase and walking towards me. I immediately opened the car door. Uncle, you're finally here. I handed him the packed breakfast and gestured for Xiaoli to help me with the suitcase. Xiaoli was stunned. You uncle? Yeah, my uncle. He's the one who recommended I study this major. Now, he's a big shot in the industry and also the head of the SC project. Xiaoli was dumbfounded, giving me a thumbs up. Once in the car, my uncle looked at me and couldn't help but sigh with admiration. You brat, you've ended up taking this path after all. Don't make fun of me, uncle. Wasn't I set up? But it's not a total loss. At least I can work with you. This time, I won't be laboring for someone else's benefit. Hearing this, my uncle burst out laughing, then patted my shoulder. It's good that you can think that way. I'll stay at your place. I'm tired of hotels. No problem. I snapped my fingers and had Xiaoli drive me to my new place. I had already sold my old house, and now I was living in a small villa my dad gave me. One of the rooms had been converted into a studio. I brought Xiaoli and the others back to the villa, closed the door, and we started negotiating right there. Meanwhile, Cui Hao and his team were going crazy. They had been waiting since they received the news, but by the time my uncle and I had finalized the contract, they hadn't even seen a shadow of him. I heard that Cui Hao was jumping up and down at the airport. Hearing this news, I burst out laughing. Arriving early was useless. Who told him he was my uncle? After signing the contract with me, my uncle said solemnly, "We can't let our family's kids be bullied for nothing. SC will hold a business banquet, and I will announce our cooperation at the banquet. Kid, it's time to get your revenge." Thank you, uncle. Not only that, but I also snatched a few of Cui Hao's clients, signing contracts with them as quickly as possible. I invited a few friends and my uncle for a small dinner gathering. This circle is only so big, and everyone knows everyone else's background, so there are basically no secrets. Knowing my relationship with my uncle, everyone understood that cooperation is one thing, but taking sides is quite another. I enjoyed the meal, but when I went to the restroom, I saw Li Minyan. Her face was red and swollen, tears welled in her eyes, and the moment she saw me, her expression turned ugly. I ignored her and walked straight past, but Li Minyan called out, "Liang Shua." I turned my head and looked at her. What? My attitude disappointed her, and she became nervous. Are you feeling very proud of yourself now? You finally got your revenge. You must be laughing at me, right? I suddenly found it a bit funny. Yeah. Are you talking about the fact that you cheated on your husband and had a child with your boss, or the fact that you were beaten while entertaining clients? I spoke very loudly, and everyone around could hear. The people passing by, including the waiters, all looked like they were ready for some gossip. Li Minyan's face turned green. She never expected that I would dare to say this in public, and she was furious. You. I patted her on the shoulder. Just be a good person. I turned and left, her face pale with anger, while I smiled. I've always been one to hold a grudge. I'm not good at other things, but I'm certainly good at annoying people. Li Minyan was immediately furious, but helpless. What happened to her after that, naturally, had nothing to do with me. When I saw Li Minyan again at the banquet, I noticed that she looked much more haggard and had learned to behave. Holding a glass of champagne, she weaved through the crowd with Cui Hao. When she saw me, Li Minyan, with her arm linked with Cui Hao's, walked towards me. "Liang Shua, you dare to come alone today." I was a little curious. What would they do after knowing the truth? I smiled. "You're here, why wouldn't I dare? SC is announcing their partner company today. What's up, President Cui? You didn't pick up anyone at the airport the other day." At this point, Cui Hao straightened his clothes with an ugly expression and said to Li Minyan beside him, "Go and find out." She came back shortly after, nodded and said, "SC is about to announce their partner. It's already been finalized. It seems we were a step late. Hearing this, he was immediately displeased. I wonder which company is so lucky. What's going on? You haven't succeeded in a single project since you took over, and you've lost a lot of clients. He started to scold her in front of me. Lee Minyun's face flushed. I smiled. She knows very well how those clients came to be. Without me, now she knows how difficult it is. I took over the conversation. Shua Bo Technology. That's SC's partner. Hearing this, Chui Hao suddenly laughed. Don't tell me it's your company. He laughed out loud, causing the people nearby to look over. This kid is bragging, saying that SC is going to cooperate with his newly established company. Are you daydreaming? As he laughed, he noticed that the people around him were silent, and his face immediately turned ugly. Impossible. How could this be? I shrugged. My company may be small, but it's backed by my father's large group. Which company wouldn't want to cooperate with our family? If Chui Hao and Li Minyan had used their brains, they would have known that I am the god of wealth they cannot afford to offend. But now, they have lost their best opportunity. Chui Hao mumbled, Your family's group? Someone beside him explained, Of course, Liang Shua is Liang Jingbiao's only son. Surely you knew that. At this, Chui Hao's face turned incredibly ugly, and even Li Minyan was in disbelief. She was about to speak when my uncle appeared and officially announced our partnership. Under the witness of everyone present, we exchanged contracts. Applause erupted from the audience. I had shown them with absolute superiority that I had won this round. Chui Hao's face was ashen. I glanced around and nodded at Li Minyan. She swayed slightly, unable to believe that I was a child of the Liang family. Back then, to be with her, I had concealed my family background because Li Minyan said she wanted to rely on herself. Seeing her independent and determined demeanor, I thought that if I relied on my family, who knew how she would mock me. So, I didn't say much and even bought a small house to start a life with her. I had planned to tell her when the time was right. However, Li Minyan was too ambitious, even thinking of going abroad. I could only take the time to send her things and money, a passionate effort that was repaid with her betrayal. My heart chilled to the core, but I didn't really think about how to get revenge on her. After all, we had different paths. Now I felt strangely calm. In business, harmony brings wealth, and she wasn't worth getting angry over. After that incident, I signed a contract with my uncle's SC company. Even though he was my uncle, I still had to make things clear. If he wasn't satisfied, he could send it back at any time. I composed myself and quietly worked alongside my uncle. 2 months later, Chui Hao couldn't hold on any longer. I had Xiao Li and the others keep a close watch, and as soon as there were clients, they poached them all. Those clients were originally mine, and now they were returning. Chui Hao couldn't handle it. When Li Minyan came to find me, I wasn't surprised at all. With their capabilities, it was already impressive that they had lasted this long. She looked at me, clenching her fists. Liang Shua, was it fun toying with me? I was taken aback. Toying with you? Where did that come from? You're so rich, yet you lied to me. You deceived me. She raised her fist and started pounding on my chest. I quickly grabbed her hands. Li Minyan, do you really think you're that charming? Listen carefully. It's no use regretting now. We're over. Hearing me say this, her face turned pale. Liang Shua, please leave. I told her to get away from me, mainly because I didn't want to get entangled in any trouble. The bomb they had planted was about to explode, and I was waiting to see Li Minyan's downfall. However, considering our past relationship, I couldn't help but advise, Chui Hao is not a good person. You should break ties with him as soon as possible. At this point, I didn't want to meddle any further. Li Minyan was thrown out by my people, but still relentlessly tried to pester me. However, before she could even start her sob story, she was exposed as a mistress, bringing her child to force a marriage. When I saw this news, I couldn't help but smile. It had only been 2 days since Li Minyan last came to me. It seemed someone had taken action. Li Minyan was beaten up by the original wife and her entourage, stripped naked and thrown onto the street, where many people watched. Only then did she realize that Chui Hao was not some eligible bachelor, but a married man. His wife was in poor health and unable to have children, so they had colluded with Chui Hao, wanting Li Minyan to help them have a son. Li Minyan, however, thought that Chui Hao had fallen for her, that they were a couple, that it was love. She was willing to divorce me, just to bear Chui Hao a son. She returned to China with dreams of becoming Mrs. Chui. But even with a son, Chui Hao grew increasingly distant, never mentioning marriage. Plus, after my reminder the other day, Li Mingyun seemed to realize something and started arguing with Chui Hao upon her return. Chui Hao, impatient, told her to get lost, and Li Mingyun threatened to report him for rape. This even alarmed his legal wife. As someone who had weathered many storms, she dealt with Li Mingyun as if she were a mistress, giving her a beating. She even preemptively used the internet to stir things up. Without a word, she stripped Li Mingyun naked in public, making her a target of public scorn. Throughout all this, Chui Hao hid in the background, silent, neither clarifying nor protecting Li Mingyun. I found it laughable. This was the man Li Mingyun had chosen. She sacrificed her marriage for so-called love, only to be branded a mistress. Unable to bear it, she called me, saying she regretted it. I immediately blocked her. Am I some kind of pushover? To take her back just like that? Meanwhile, Li Mingyun and Chui Hao's affairs abroad were also exposed. The netizens weren't after the truth, but the juicier the gossip, the more they relished it. Some even followed the clues and found me. Bro, cut your losses in time. Did you see through long ago, buddy? Li Mingyun got beaten. Are you relieved, man? Many netizens shouted online. Of course, I had seen the original video. Not only had I seen it, but I also gave it a push. Now, Chui Hao wouldn't have it easy either. The power of public opinion is double-edged. I, the ex-husband, became the biggest winner, everyone saying I was a devoted lover. For 3 years after my wife left, I remained steadfast. And then she came back and kicked me to the curb. My company also received a lot of attention because of this. I seized the opportunity and snatched several of Chui Hao's last profitable projects. He was completely cornered. The day Chui Hao declared bankruptcy, Li Mingyun came to me, unable to bear being schemed against like this. After all, she was still the child's biological mother, and still breastfeeding. The child was not even 2 years old. Chui Hao couldn't win even if he went to court. The two argued in the company, Li Mingyun angrily accusing Chui Hao. Bearing a son, do you have a throne to inherit? Now you can't even come up with 10 million. Chui Hao sneered. You think you're worth 10 million? Any woman can have children. You were just convenient, being abroad. Otherwise, why would I choose you? Li Mingyun, furious, scratched at him with both hands. Chui Hao's face was covered in bloody scratches. He retaliated, pushing her away. Unexpectedly, Li Mingyun crashed through the glass door, a sharp shard piercing her abdomen. This was a disaster. Seriously injured, she was rushed to the hospital, where she insisted on not settling. Chui Hao was in a desperate situation, and his legal wife beat him up in the hospital. I only then realized that Chui Hao was also a kept man. In the end, Chui Hao gave Li Mingyun 3 million. The child also went to Li Mingyun. He eventually divorced his legal wife and stayed with Li Mingyun. But their life was far from good. His company completely collapsed, and his ex-wife issued a ban against him in the industry. If Chui Hao and Li Mingyun had obediently stayed with their child and the millions they took, they could have lived well. But unfortunately, he refused to accept his fate and insisted on starting a business. For a man nearing 40, starting a business from scratch is far from easy. This industry requires capital, connections, and timing, all of which Chui Hao lacked. Li Mingyun was only of average ability. After all their struggles, they lost the several million as well. Just then, something happened to the child, who was diagnosed with autism. The two were completely devastated. Chui Hao, after much deliberation, shifted the blame to Li Mingyun, cursing, "You jinx!" Li Mingyun, not one to back down, argued fiercely with him. The two became a pair of resentful spouses, brawling in the street. I shook my head. This was the life Li Mingyun pursued. This was her own choice, wasn't it? A year later, I saw Li Mingyun again. She was selling alcohol in a nightclub. I was stunned when I saw her. After not seeing her for a year, Li Mingyun was dressed revealingly, moving through this kind of place. She smiled ingratiatingly, calling the club owner brother, just to sell a few bottles of beer. I was dumbfounded. Li Mingyun also noticed me and was momentarily taken aback, then walked towards me. "Big boss, do me a favor and buy some drinks." I I took out a few red bills and gave them to her. What are you doing here? Where's Chui Hao? We divorced, and he took the child. I nodded, so he even took off the child. But I have to pay him 3,000 yuan a month for child support. Li Minyan took a deep breath, forcing a smile. Liang Shu, I'll buy some more. You're paying for everything tonight, okay? I couldn't help but chuckle. I'm not a fool. I pay for all. No, you pay. Hearing this, her face instantly darkened. I shook my head and left. I had made a mistake once. I didn't want to make it a second time. After that, I never saw her again. I heard she had latched onto another rich old man, only to be chased and beaten in the streets by his children. Later, I heard that her poor son had developed autism, was sent to the countryside, and drowned a few days later. But none of this had anything to do with me. My company was thriving, and I was too busy with social engagements and negotiations to spare any time for her. The path one chooses, one must walk it to the end.